What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders Awaken and some theory crafting on Endless Mode. Now, next up, we got Act 3, and you know what? I think I'm going to do Act 3 first. I was going to do Act 2 just to get it over with and knock it out, but I do love those Act 3 maps, and I think I'm going to head there first just for fun factor. So let's jump on in and take a look at them today. Now, first up, of course, we have the Ancient Library, and I absolutely love this map. So it's going to be some good fun on this one. Now, on Act 3 here, I'm going to be using blockades much more often, just kind of as a last resort. But let's go ahead and get things started, and we're going to start off right over on this side. Now, I want to be careful with my aura placement and exactly where I'm getting them. I'm going to go with something like about right there. So I want the edge of the aura hitting or covering this table here. We're going to go ahead and go with that in snare. We'll get the electric aura down, and then once again, we're going to use those enrage auras. So as I mentioned last video, if the enrage auras end up not being necessary, since I'm not going to be doing bonus waves just to get the unlocks, then I will probably get rid of those. Now, to get the aura stack set up over here, I want to go as close to that other aura stack as possible. And once again, we'll see why here in just a moment. And then let's go with that enrage aura right there also. I want to double check these. These are about exactly where I want them. So I'm going to go ahead and head down to this side of the map, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go... actually, let's go as close in as we can just to get the best possible coverage on the side lanes. Going to go with an electric, the ensnare, and enrage aura. We can get it this one in way close. Let's do that. Let's go all the way to like there. Now, I mentioned I'm going to be using a lot more walls now, so I'm bringing fusion, a fusion spike blockade and bouncer blockade setup. So I am in militia gear for the bouncers, and then using the Arcanist helm on top for the spike blockades. So we're going to go with a wall right at the bottom of the stair, right about there. And then additionally, I'm going to get one wall in right over here. But over here, I think I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of that bouncer. We're going to go right at the top of the stair there as well. Now, I may end up adding another wall. We'll have to see how that goes. But going to start off with that. Now, right down here, we'll go ahead and go with an explosive trap, gas trap a little bit further back. Same thing over here. We're going to kind of split the lane coverage right here. So we're going to go with a gas trap. I am leaning the gas trap a little bit over to the left side here. And the reason being, I want to start off with the explosive actually. And the reason being is just like on Throne Room, if enemies come down this side, they're going to set it off, which is going to kill all the enemies. If any enemies come this way, they're going to have another set that they have to go through. So it gives me a little bit of protection right there. And then we'll get a gas trap slightly farther back. Now I want to do the same thing right here. We're going to go with a gas trap, say right about, or explosive trap, pardon me. Do we go there with it? Actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead and go right here. Let's go an explosive trap right about there. We will put the gas trap a little bit further back, kind of covering, giving a little last resort protection over here. And then on this side, we're going to do the same thing. Explosive trap just as close as we can get it. And then the gas trap just a little bit further back, actually as far back as we can get it. Now, we want to go ahead and get these traps tied together with a buff beam, which is also going to hit those R's as well. So we will put just a little 3DU buff beam right there, and that area is covered. Now, I'm going to want a reflect beam here, as there is going to be ogres throwing through this doorway. So we'll put a 1DU reflect beam right like that. Now, it certainly wouldn't hurt to get some reflect beams on the core over here too, but I want to check the DU on those first. And then we're going to go with a reflect beam right about like that. We're going to get a reflect beam on the stair, actually, right in front of the bouncer blockade, putting it on the stair because, of course, the ogres are going to throw at the bottom, and I want to make sure that bottom is covered. And then we're going to go with one more reflect beam. Let's just go something like that, just in case there are any ogre tosses, as there's going to be lots of ogres spawning out of this lane here. Actually, it looks like we need to go over just a little bit further, so let's go ahead and do that. Bring it over to, say, about right there. Now that's going to give me some protection from any ranged mobs from this side of the map. Now, what are we missing? Well, we're still missing a buff beam over here. We can take advantage of buffing this bouncer blockade, which is not going to be a terrible idea because that thing is going to get a little bit of action. So we're going to make sure to get that one buffed. We still need a buff beam over here as well, so let's just drop a little 3 DU buff beam there. And then that's going to leave me 32 DU left. So this map is actually really, really good for towers. Using DSTs or LTs on this map is a great idea. It's just going to be a really good first start for you. However, since I am just going for unlocks here, I'm going to go with good old faithful, and we're going to drop down some wisps. So right here in this area, we will go with, actually, can we get 12? Or 6, pardon me. Yeah, we can get 6. Then we're going to want to protect this stuff with a reflect beam. Something, say, like that. And then, what? That leaves me 5 DU left. Now, we still need a buff beam right here. We're going to go ahead and drop a buff beam right about like that. And then that leaves 2 more. And I think 2 more, we really should just go with some reflects here. So let's go with a reflect beam, say, like this. And then another reflect beam, say, about like that. I think that will give me the protection I need. Actually, this one, you know, we can bring a little bit further over. Let's bring it over to, say, right about here. That way any ranged mobs get any crazy ideas here about shooting the core, it's going to get reflected. Now, the reason I place the auras like this is I think in this build, this is going to be another really good map for a boost monk with like a speedy or a striking or even a powerful, whatever gemstone you have. I'm going to use a speedy gemstone. And if you stay up above right here, the Dark Elf Warriors are going to come up top to come at you and are not going to be cleaving at your wisps. So if you stay up top here, you get a good shot at all the ogres. Now, granted, you're going to have to keep an eye out for them because you don't have a reflect beam up here to give you any protection. So you're just going to want to spray the ogres down, but stay on the move. Now, additionally, when you're using your tower boost from up here, you're going to hit all of your wisps down below, but you're going to hit that aura stack, and you're going to hit this aura stack. So you're going to have massive aura damage, plus buffed wisps right here on the Arcane Library. And next up, we have the Royal Gardens. Now, the Royal Gardens is just a regular old farm map that we all end up doing just tons. And we've got some pretty good builds already set up for this one. This is another one I am going to use some last resort walls. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and get those down first. And we're going to go with a wall, say, right like so. We're going to get yet another wall about like that. One more about like that. And then one more over here about like that. Now, we are going to want a wall just as a distraction down below here. So putting one wall down below is going to be a very, very nice distraction. And this particular map, you got some serious options on what to do. We're going to go with some aura and trap stacks. Imagine that. Going to start off with a snare aura and an electric aura right over here. Just as close as we can get it, we're going to go ahead and go with the electric aura and snare aura right over here. And then additionally on this one, we are going to do some spawn camp in here. So we're going to come all the way down here, and we're going to get a Strength Train and electric aura down here. It looks like I need to move those two up just a little bit closer. Well, we can do that. Let's go ahead and get these auras adjusted. So we'll put these more like something like that. Are we still getting decent cross coverage in the middle? We are. And then these will go out to more like something like this, just to give us a little bit more space down below here. And then hopefully I can sneak some auras in down here, and there we go. So we got our ensnare aura in. Oh no, the electric aura range is going to be just off. So let me just go ahead and shrink that down just one little tick. And then we're going to switch over to traps. Now, down below here, we're going to be able to go with that explosive trap up front, the gas trap back behind. We're going to want an explosive trap up front and a gas trap back behind over on this side. Right over here as well. So, explosive trap way up front, gas trap way behind. And then over here, I actually got kind of mixed emotions over here because you get such incredible coverage here with these explosive traps. I actually kind of want to do two. So I think I'm going to go 2 explosive traps. Let's move that one in just a little bit closer. And another benefit here is you're going to have just tons and tons of mobs to trigger these things constantly. You know what? Let's go ahead and go up this way, actually. Or you know what? We could go over here and cover this side lane. Let's do that. Let's actually go way up front here. We'll put an explosive trap up there. We'll go with a gas trap way behind. And that is going to actually free up a ton of utility on those side lanes. So, same thing here. We'll go explosive trap. And then we'll put a gas trap about like so. Now we still do need some auras over here, so we're going to get those in just as close up here as we can. How far up can we get them? It looks like if we go right here, it won't be a problem at all. We're just going to go with 1 aura stack right there in the middle. Now we got tons of damage out there. We got explosive traps. We've got all these auras. We got all kinds of damage, but one thing we don't have is any buff beams. So let's go ahead and get some buff beams going. We're going to go 3DU right there. Going to go 3DU here. 3 right there. We'll get 3 in on that one. And then, last but not least, 3 right down here below. Now, this is a very different build than what you would normally do on this map. However, I think this one is just going to be wildly effective. Now, in addition to that, this particular map, we basically are not going to have to worry about the side lanes as much as the... well, actually, that's the top and the bottom lanes, as much as the east and the west lanes. So I'm going to come over here to this side, and we're going to go ahead and drop down that Enrage Aura down here. We're going to come right up front here and drop an Enrage Aura right here on top of all this stuff. And then you know what? I don't have the center area buffed at all, do I? Feels like that is not quite great placement, but we would definitely need a buff beam right here. So I'm going to throw one in right there just so we can look at the DU that's left. That gives us 35. That's a pretty nice chunk of DU left. We're going to take advantage, although this is another really, really great tower map, we are going to take advantage of the wisps once again. So if you go to the very center of the map, the very center of the map is going to be right about here, and then that conveniently also gives us a little steppy stool to stand on there so we don't get all delved on. So let's see, what can we do? Can we go 6? We can definitely go 6. We're still going to want a couple of reflect beams as well. We could actually probably go 7. Let's go ahead and go 7. Now, on this map, just to make life a little bit easier with the Copter Ogres, I would definitely use a Striking Gemstone. Let's see, let's go ahead and get a buff on these guys. A little 3DU there. That gives me 3 left. Well, we know we're going to need Reflex here. So let's just go ahead and get Reflex right like this. And then we've got one more Reflect. Where are we going to want it? I kind of feel like we're going to want it on this lane. If I remember correctly, one of these lanes has a ton of archers and wizards. Which one is it? Is it going to show on the tags? No, it's showing the same enemies. I could have swore, or maybe that was an older version of the game. I could have swore we had one side that had more archers and wizards. I think we would maybe just go something like that. Now, if we sit here on a striking gemstone and buff it out, like I said, we got this little feature here to stand on where we've got a little bit of partial protection here. But when we tower boost, of course, we're going to hit both of the side aura stacks, all of the wisps, and this top center aura stack. So we're getting just all of the auras completely jacked. They're going to be burning like absolute mad and are going to just really do a number on these enemies as they burn through. So that is what I will probably start with on Royal Gardens. Now, I got to say right up front, there was a whole lot of success on this map in the PTR with just doing CC on the sides. So just an ensnare aura and a gas trap, just an ensnare aura and a gas trap, just an ensnare aura and a gas trap, and then ensnare auras and gas traps on both sides here, and just spamming towers or just spamming wisps or whatever you decide to do, LTs, DSTs, wisps. There was a lot of people having lots of success on the PTR doing a build just about like that. And moving right along to the prom. Now, this particular map, I just happened to do a ton of on the PTR. So lots of time sitting here on this one. Now, this is another just wonderful, wonderful DST map. DSTs are so glorious on this map. They can definitely get the job done. In fact, we did a DST run, 2-player, with Aramir on the PTR, and then I did quite a few solo runs on this one with DSTs and with Wisps. This map just screams for that spawn kills. It just loves being spawn killed, this map does. So we are going to do exactly that. We're going to go with an ensnare aura. We're going to go with an electric aura. This we know is a regular ogre lane. So since it's a regular ogre lane, we are going to throw an enrage aura in as well. We are going to trap this bad boy up. So we're going to go with an explosive trap all the way down here right on top of the spawn. We're going to go with a gas trap a little bit further back. And then here we go, another wall map. So we know that this is a heavy ogre lane. Additionally, copter ogres fly in from that side. So we are going to put a wall right here. Now, of course, we're going to have to protect this wall from the throwing. So I'm going to go with a reflect beam about like that. As the ogres are going to throw at this wall from down here, they're going to throw at this wall from up here. In fact, I should move it down further and even go something like this just to be able to protect the bottom of that wall a little bit more. So I think something like that will get it done. Figure the ogre tosses are going to happen from right here and then maybe again from like right here. So that will give us the coverage we need right there on that one. Now, of course, we are going to put reflect beams down, but I don't want to have any issues building the map. So I'm going to put those down last. We're going to come over to this lane. We're going to go with an ensnare aura and electric aura, the lovely explosive trap, and a gas trap right behind. Same exact thing on this one. We've got the ensnare aura, the electric aura, the lovely, lovely Splony, and a gas trap right behind. Now, an important thing to note on this map is if you have any issue reaching any of the bads on this map, particularly the copter ogres that are going to be right up on that top side, adding a little bit more damage in here could be a bit helpful. So you could swap out like your buff beams and go with maybe some infernos if you're having troubles with enemies dying over here or being killed over here properly on that side of the map. Then we're going to come right here. We know we got another ogre lane. This particular lane has got a heavy, heavy mob count. And for ogres, it makes enrage auras just crazy broken. So we're going to bring the Rage Aura back a little bit, just to make sure it's not right up inside the spawn. This is an Ogre area, though. So since it's an Ogre area, we are still going to get it protected with a Spike Blockade. So give the Ogre something to swing on, and additionally, it gives Dark Elf Warriors a target that spawn on this side of the map. So very, very nice there. And then, of course, we're going to get our Explosive Trap in and our Gas Trap. So we've got really, really good coverage on this Ogre lane. In fact, I'll go as far as to say, with what I saw on the PTR, this now becomes the easiest lane, because there's just so many mobs in that tight little area. The Enraged Aura just wrecks it. It causes massive fights right up in that area. Now let's go ahead and get everything else all buffed up, and then see what we got left. Let's get the overclock right there. We'll grab another overclock, say like right about there. It gives us 43 left, which is a pretty darn considerable amount. Now, with 43, you can go ahead and do what you want. DSTs are great. I'm going to be using the Wisps right out of the gate. So let's go ahead and go with that Roots right here. And then let's see exactly how many Wisps we can get down while using this build. Now, with it in mind that there are 3 different Copter Ogre spawn areas, you're just going to want to use a Striking Gemstone if you do a build like this with Wisps. Now, for DSTs, you can get away with not using Striking, depending on what your range is on them. However, you're really, really going to be happy if you get a Striking Gemstone on some Wisps right here. Now, we've got one more thing we want to do, and that is on this map, in this area, Dark Elf Warriors can jump up here. They don't very often, but they can. And if one Dark Elf Warrior gets up here at wave 50 and takes one swing at me, it's gonna destroy all the stuff here. So with that in mind, let's get a little anti-Dark Elf Warrior area in. We're just gonna throw a Spike Blockade right there, and that is gonna make it a little bit tougher for the Dark Elf Warriors to make it up and over onto this platform. And last but certainly not least, we have the Summit. Now, on the Summit, on the PTR, the thing that really worked best on this map was just adding CC in at the spawns and doing massive Wisp, DST, sludge launchers, and laser beams. Pretty much the tower or Wisp of your choice, just to fill in everything else. So with that in mind, I'm only going to do one really major killing area, and that is going to be this area down at the bottom. So we're going to go with a Snare Aura. We're going to get that Electric Aura in there. Then we're going to get our Explosive Trap in. We're going to throw a Gas Trap in just right on top of it. Lots of stuffs going off right here. Now, you know, I could actually move the Explosive and the Gas Trap down. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll put the Explosive like right about there. We'll get the Gas Trap as far back as we can right about there. And then, of course, we are going to want to slap down a Buff Beam to take care of business. Now, on the rest of these lanes, we're only going to be going CC. And speaking of CC, completely forgot about an Enrage Aura. We definitely want an Enrage Aura down on this map, as it is just going to be crazy helpful. Now, so what do we do over here? Well, since we're focusing just on CC, we're going to go with an Ensnare Aura. In fact, we could probably share the Enrages. Let's do that. Let's go with an Ensnare Aura and a Gas Trap, something like that. No Buff Beam required on these guys. Let's go ahead and get our Enraged Aura in the middle where it's being shared. Something, I'm going to say like right here, right? We want it up top here on this point. So we still didn't make the dang point. It's possible, y'all. It's possible. And there we go. So we want that right there on that point. And then you see the enemies are going to get enraged. Some in the spawns, some outside of the spawns. but we've got great enrage coverage going all the way up there. Now, before we get the rest of that down, we are going to want to do the same thing over here, and I think my enrage Rs are just a tickle too large, and that could be a problem on this one. Are we still going to be able to get coverage if we go with it here? Actually, yeah, we still cover that spawn, so we're going to be in fine shape on both of those sides. Now, additionally, of course, we want to get our CC in, so we're going to go with that ensnare, and we're going to go with the gas trap. Right here in the middle of the map, same thing. We're going to go with the ensnare and the gas trap. So we've got the double coverage on those enrage Rs already, and we don't have to worry about those. Now, what do we got going on this map? Well, we got lots of ogres. So let's go ahead and get ourselves a little bit of ogre protection right there. Let's get ourselves a little ogre protection, say right there. And then we know that on this map, ogres can indeed spawn on this side of the map. Now, they do have a long way to run, which is nice. However, I'm going to go with a spike blockade right here, and then another spike blockade in the middle right here. As far as I know, no ogres still are going to spawn on this area, so we don't really have to worry about it so much over there. Now, what do we have here now? Well, we know we got massive copter ogres, right? So let's get something set up for some copter ogres. The good news is we got 96 DU. Now, we want to set these copter ogre wisps up so that they're helping in the lower lane as well. So we're going to go ahead and go with, let's go with 4 of them. We will slap a buff beam on those 4. And that should handle all of the copter ogres and a lot of the lower enemies in the gen, etc. from this side of the map. Now, let's go over here and do the exact same thing. So, we want to get, let's just go with them right here, just like we did over on that side. I always like to tuck that root in between those items. In my head, Dark Elf Warriors aren't getting to them then. Is that true? Who knows? But it seems to work out pretty darn good for me so far. Now, right out of the gates, I will say the thing that went the farthest in the PTR was something like this, but without putting wisps on the sides. I like to put wisps up there on the sides. However, it is extremely beneficial to have some wisps here in the middle. So with that in mind, we might actually want to move these traps and buff beam back up. Let's just go ahead and do that. We'll move them back up to the top, and we'll get us some wisps in the middle. Now, in addition to all the enemies down here, the wisps in the middle are also taking care of the copter ogres that are going to spawn over in that area. So we want an explosive trap, we want a gas trap, and then we're going to have to sneak some wisps in here. So the root we can put just about anywhere, just kind of tuck it in, and then just kind of make a decision where you want to put your wisps. They're never really pretty down here. You can go with 4 right on top of that barrel right there, but then it gets a little bit tricky to get a buff beam down. Are we going to be able to get it? Yeah, we can still get it. And then that buff beam, of course, is still hitting all of the stuff and things. So we got our 4 in the middle. Now, what about over on this side? Well, over here, once again, what worked best on the PTR was actually a big string of wisps on this side of the map and a big string of wisps on this side of the map. I like to split them up personally, and then if something does go wrong, because we know this map can get a little sketch, if something does go wrong, then I don't have any issue with, all of my wisps being taken out. So for this side of the map, I'm going to go right up top here. So we're just going to go with something like this. Additionally, while we're running this map, I would sit on top of this with either a speedy or a striking gemstone. Now we're going to be able to get a bunch of wisps over here. These, of course, are going to be covering the whole side of the map. So, be generous. We're going to go with what? 2, 4, 6. We got 7. We can actually go 8 without really any major problem there. Now, of course, that is going to leave us just a little bit light on DU for the walls. However, I'm pretty sure we're still going to be able to get it done. So let's go with a reflect beam, something like that. We'll go with another reflect beam, say, that was a 2 DU. Let's go with a 1D reflect beam, something say like that. And then one more like this. Now this is going to give you great coverage versus all those spiders that drop up here on the pad as well. But then you can chillax right here on top of these 7 wisps. Just buff these out, striking, speedy, whatever gemstone you want on this particular map. I think I would probably use speedy still. I do think I'd probably use speedy. However, this is what I am going to start off with, or something real similar to this on the summit. Now, you know, who knows? We'll see what happens. Launch day is not here yet. We still got a couple of days here. This is what I plan on going with now. And a similar build to this has worked very, very well for me in the past. However, I may end up going with the big DST spam or the big rows of wisps, depending on how I'm feeling by the time I get to this map. I may be all wisped out by this point. But that is Act 3. Act 4 coming up next. But that will do it for this episode. So thank you all so much for watching. And I will see ya next time around. Take it easy.